She's coming.
They want to tell me the center thing, so it's not going to do it. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you okay? I'm going to get started.
Birthday stay. One student, Jimmy, and two adults, Mary and his sister. Miriam, what else?
It's okay, you guys are the Dharma. Do you want a copy of it? Oh, I know. Here, I'll give you. Here. Don't forget, after opening invitation, before we announce the Dharma, class goes up. So before it's announced.
Wait, that's right.
Namandam, Sinamandam, Sinamandam, Sinamandam.
Good morning. My name is George, and I would like to welcome you to today's service. We'll begin our service with opening meditation, followed by Nambutsu. Please join me in placing your hands together and Daksha.
You could have this.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida
Namo
Butsu.
Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo. Please rise for the singing of the Gotha, the texture of life, on page 222 of the service book, followed by recitation of the golden chain and level 2 on page 5.
Golden chain. I am a link in Amita's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I will keep my link bright and strong. I will be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will think pure and beautiful thoughts, say pure and beautiful words, and do pure and beautiful deeds. May every link in Amita's golden chain of love be bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namu Amida Butsu. Namu Amida Butsu. Namu Amida Butsu. Namu Amida Butsu.
Please join in the chanting of this Sutra grace and gang on page 95 of the service book. During Sutra chanting, we will have a shofar or an incense offered by the following: Dharma school student, deaf, you, adult, and you.
Announcing Reverend Shibana.
We will now listen to a Dharma message by Reverend Kim Shibata. Good morning, everybody. How are you today? Good. It's good to see all of you. You know, and I forgot my. Okay. So today, what I wanted to do, kind of briefly, because I know that this might be something a little bit new that you might not have regularly chanted. And even while I was a child growing up here, I'm not really sure if we chanted Sambujo on a regular basis. So hopefully everybody received your handout. And at the conclusion of the service, what you can help me do is go ahead and put them in the back of the book so that we can continue to chant this together. And I do have to thank our office manager, Nicole, who helped me create this nice cardstock of Sambujo, including the way in which we chant it as well. But I wanted to first start by asking all of you, how many of you do enjoy singing? Do you like singing? I'm sure you do. Or do you sing at home? Do you sing in the car? Do you sing with your friends? No? I think everybody, yay, Chloe, yes, thank you. Do you like singing? Okay, thank you. So maybe out of everybody, Chloe might be the only one, but I kind of find that hard to believe.
And so I wanted to first start by singing a song or maybe a short version. Can you play happy birthday or like?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Sorry to put you on the spot. So, when we sing happy birthday, which I'm sure everybody knows is a very universal song, happy birthday, we're wishing our loved one or our friend a very happy day in which you were born. And of course, for all of their parents, loved ones, this is an important day of this individual's life. So each year they are born, we're celebrating this particular day, and we're expressing this happiness that we have, right? So when you sing happy birthday, are you singing? No, you're not. So Darlene, maybe what we can do, and again, going along with our theme of showing that you care and doing your share, what you do is show that your loved one, that you care about them. So you do your share, you do your best by singing happy birthday. And you don't do it in a screaming voice, unless you're saying cha-cha-cha. I know we used to do it as children. So I understand that, but it's a very calm, maybe not calm, but very respectful type of voice that we're singing to really praise the birth of this person. So maybe what you can do, you can help me maybe just by singing a little bit, just a little bit. And Darlene will kind of help so we don't have to do it a cappella style. But can we sing happy birthday so that we're practicing to sing happy birthday to our dear friends a little bit later in today's service? Okay, Darlene.
Can you turn it down?
Happy birthday.
I take out my phone off?
Yeah. We're doing the Dharma service still. Well, it's going to be,
How much longer?
it's 10:30. It's going to start. No, you're not going to do anything else. This is for your dad and stuff. Come on.
Well, so I heard some of you, and I don't know if I'm getting a little bit older, maybe my ears aren't working as well, but I think you can sing a little bit louder than that. So that's the same feeling in which I wanted to approach Sambujo. So Sambujo again is called 3 respectful callings. And sometimes we chant, but we don't really necessarily know what we're chanting. But however, when we sing happy birthday, we know what we're singing. Again, because it's in English.
If you were sitting in front of your thing, you could have done your video of you showing.
No, I don't have that.
And follow along with me where it says minister on the first line. So it's Mujo, Nida, Nyodai,
Just saying.
Mudo, Jo. So what it's saying is that we're welcoming.
Can I put it louder?
You can put it a little bit louder.
Which is another word for Buddha. So
Not too loud.
to enter this dojo. So dojo, practice space or like the temple. So some of you might know some of these words, right? Dojo, especially if you do martial arts. And so the second line, that's when the Sangha comes in. So Sangha again is our congregation. And we say Sangye Daku. But obviously it's a little bit more melodic than that. So you can kind of follow along in the melody there. And if you notice within the whole Sambujo, there's the B shape. So technically that's where we're supposed to take a breath. So can you imagine? I have to chant that whole line and then take a breath, then chant that little line, take a breath, and then chant that line, Joel at the end. But I'll let you in on a little secret. I sneak a big breath, which you might notice after Bujo. So don't tell anybody that, but Reverend Motoyoshi's here, so she can scold me later. But I'll blame it on my asthma. So that's why I have to take a breath. But it's okay, because we're not professionals. We're going to do the best that we can. If we need to take a breath, that's okay. Okay, so this Sangye Daku part is where we are joyfully scattering flowers to welcome initially Amida Tathagata or Amida Buddha. And if you've attended a very, very special service, you'll notice that sometimes the ministers will be standing here and we'll be holding this really beautiful kind of gold plate with green, red, and white strings. And then we'll have these petals in our hands. So these represent the petals that we're kind of scattering to welcome them. So if you can imagine going back to our idea of happy birthday, so sometimes you might surprise your friends with a happy birthday, and you might throw glitter or confetti or streamers. That's what we're doing. We're kind of welcoming them. So it's not like a frisbee. I'm not going to throw it out like a frisbee, but I'm going to very respectfully kind of, and I'll just show you, kind of just throw it out. So it's scattering. And then if you might notice too, sometimes we could use those as bookmarkers in our statement, in our books. So it's kind of twofold. We're using those types of petals. And if some of you would either like to look at them, if you would like to have some of these petals to use as bookmarkers, you can look at the beautiful pictures. I can leave these on the altar for you to take as well, okay? So just imagine that when we're welcoming these Buddhas, we're scattering these beautiful petals, okay? So if you can follow along the next line for the minister, Bujo Shaka Nyorai, Niu Do Jo. So again, we're welcoming Shakyamuni Buddha, okay? That's where the Shaka Nyorai, and Nyorai is another way to say Buddha. Okay, we're welcoming Shakyamuni Buddha. So again, remember, Shakyamuni Buddha was the historical Buddha who lived in India more than 2,500 years ago. But Amida Buddha, the Amida Buddha is this image that we have in the front of the altar. And that image is this embodiment of wisdom and compassion, okay? This light and light. Okay, so again, when we're welcoming Tathagata Shakyamuni or Shakyamuni Buddha, we're again welcoming with flower petals. Okay, so the next line for the minister, Bujo Jipo Nyorai, that's the Buddhas of the 10 directions. So if you can imagine all of the directions that we know, the north, south, east, and west, and then all of the others, and then above and below, the Buddhas everywhere. And so this means that all of the Buddhas, all of those loved ones, individuals, and friends who have passed away, we're calling upon them as well. So even our loved ones who are passed, they are Buddhas as well. So we're calling upon them to be with us when we chant this respectful calling. And even for them, because they are Buddhas, we are scattering these petals for them as we joyfully welcome them. Okay, so when we are invited to chant, and I know I've said this many times during our Zoom services when we weren't able to be at home, when we're chanting a hymn, so this isn't a sutra, this is a hymn, a song, when we're either chanting a hymn, chanting the words of the Buddha, this is how we can show that we care. We do our share. And we take part and we participate, because this is our ultimate way of being able to hear and receive the Buddha Dharma, which are the teachings, but also pay our great respect and appreciation by chanting. So I always welcome you, always, to not be shy, because I remember sitting where you're sitting, maybe even sitting, especially when I was maybe 3rd or 4th grade. And I remember Ms. Setsuko Rito, she was my teacher, and I was very shy, but I was very inspired, and I still remember her chanting. I can still hear her chanting. And it was kind of her inspiration that allowed me not to be as shy. So even though we may not know the words, we can still praise the Buddha when we chant together. And this is our way to continue to be one Sangha, one group. And to show our deep respect as well. Okay. And so maybe hopefully when we chant again, when we come together next week, you'll be able to chant with me, or especially in the next special service, we'll chant this as well. So just note that we'll take turns. It'll be my portion, everybody else's portion on the Sangha, my portion again, and then you just follow. But luckily Nicole was able to put those in for us, so there's no confusion. But again, I truly appreciate all of your efforts, because I do hear you chanting. And I know this is a really big space for us to fill, but I always welcome, because it always warms my heart when I can hear you chanting as well. Okay, So shall we put our palms together and please put them for our great gratitude today. Number one, we don't. Number one, we don't. Number one, we don't. Thank you. And then again, if you could put these, tuck them behind the books in the pews, that would be wonderful. And then we'll use them for the next service this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend, for the Dharma message. Now we will move on to birthdays of this month, starting off with Dharma class, Jimmy Dunn.
Can you guys do a copy? Yeah.
Next, we have adults, Lance Matsumoto. And Yumiko Shimozaki. Are there any other adults with birthdays in November? Any students? Okay, if not, let's wish a happy birthday to our dear friends.
Announcements. There will be an SBWA meeting after service day at 11:30. November 8th and the 22nd, Molokai craft class at 10 a.m. November 9th, church board election meeting at 6 p.m. followed by the monthly board meeting. November 12th, 11:30 a.m. Cortez Hawkeye post harvest service. November 13th, 11:30 a.m. SBWA Memorial Service. November 18th, 11:30 ABA meeting. November 19th, 1:30 to 4:30 p.m. Card making workshop by Mike Shibata. $10 free RSVP by Saturday, November 11th, November 12th. By November 20th, 11:30 YBA meeting. November 24th and 25th, the office will be closed for the Thanksgiving holiday. There will be no book club discussion meeting this month. November 27th, 11:30 a.m. Dharma school teacher meeting. Islamic Club is continuing collection of aluminum cans and recyclable plastic bottles. Donations may be left by the white bin under the carport area. Help keep recyclable bottles and cans out of landfills while supporting one of our youth organizations. And on the weekend of the 19th and the 20th, I'll be having my Boy Scout, my Eagle Scout project. We're going to be replacing the slats along the back fence of the church and painting pegboards that we use for the Dharma school. And we need adults to help with the demolishing of the old sign. And next weekend, we're hoping that the Dharma classes can help with, and adults can help with removing weeds along the fence. Are there any other announcements? If not, students are dismissed to class. Please observe good etiquette while reading and offering. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Thanks, Jim. Okay, so, hi, everybody. So I made this announcement last week. So again, I'm asking for our support as a Sangha regarding Ichimi. So this is the group from the Gardena Buddhist Church, and they support the LGBTQ plus members at their temple, families, and allies. And they are doing a video project to spread awareness and spread support, allowing all of us in the BCA to utilize these videos. And they are doing their initial video shoot in December, which I had the honor of being asked to participate. And they'll do additional 30-minute segments after this initial video. And so I have already received on the Buddhist Church of Stockton's behalf many kind donations. And we're going to continue this for a couple of weeks so that we can send donations to them as a Sangha as a whole. And so if you would like to continue to support them in creating these educational videos, I'll have my little ramen bowl, which I had last week. And whatever you might feel free to donate, anything will go a long way in supporting this very educational, useful, and important project. And if you would like to contribute by check, please make the check out to the Gardena Buddhist Church, and on the memo line, you can put the video project as well. If you have any questions, if you would like to see the letter from Reverend Amy Mezu regarding this project, please feel free to look at it, and I'll keep it up on the altar here while the children are being dismissed. Okay, thank you so much again for your support and for your continued support in advance. Thank you.
Other announcements, if not, please are dismissed to class. Please observe good etiquette while leaving and offer incense if you haven't already.
Okay, so I just want to let you know that Charlie had to go to work. He got called in on an all-call emergency call. So I will be running Zoom alone. If people do come in, and please stay muted if at all possible. Please stay muted if at all possible, and I will try to watch it, but be aware that during the Gathas, I am unavailable to work the Zoom. So thanks for your understanding, and we'll begin shortly.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Did you have a good time staying?
I'm told that I am now. Goodness. Good morning, darling.
Yes,
Started at 7.
That's a lot of energy though. Can you give me some of your energy?
Now I know why you.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's good to see all of you. Actually, I feel so new. I've been here again for over 2 years, but it's so different being able to be with you for this Shulsky service. And of course, the Sunday Dharma service with the children. But because now we're in person, I feel new and I feel really nervous right now. But I think it's always good to kind of keep this nervous excitement going in my ministry. But I do want to thank all of you for attending today, and of course, our members via Zoom, as we remember and honor our loved ones who have passed away in the month of November. So I would like to start with the chanting of Sambujo, followed by the Hyokyakumo, or the dedication of this service, followed by the reading of the names of the deceased. And so we do have the printouts for Sambujo, and please chant along with me if you'd like to. Thank you. No. We gathered today to observe our Shotski monthly memorial service. This is our monthly service to remember friends and loved ones who have passed away in the month of November. They are Francis Yukie Arakawa, Tokue Ishari, Masaru Dobana, Mio Fukano, Toshiko Fukushima, Tracy Ken Goto, Mitsuko Mitsi Hatanaka, Shizue Lillian Hayashi, Chiaki Higashi, Mikhail Honda, Bessie Katsue Korita, David Hota, Kotoe Hota, Shoichi Stephen Hota, Teruko Terry Hota, Iwami Ikeda, Masao Inamasu, Yoshio Ishin, Katsuharu Ito, Misao Ito, Hinayo Iwamoto, Kaiso Kamigaki, Kaoru Kaneko, Shinobu Kanekuni, Kenji Kawase, Yukie Kawase, Satoko Kimoto, Frank Takeshi Kosugi, James Kenji Kubo, Mary Kusama, Calvin Matsumoto, Carol Toshiko Matsumoto, Shigemi Matsumura, Saihachi Maeda, Mitsuo Menda, Raymond Tadao Mizuno, Wayne Michio Mizuno, Jerry Akira Morinaka, Frank Noboru Morita, Ishi Morita, Masaru Morita, Noboru Morita, Miyoko Betty Moriwaki, Satoru Nagai, Gary Wayne Nagata, Yoshiko Mildred Nagata, Frank Michio Nishida, Mitsushige Mike Nishimoto, Haruyo Nishioka, Jiroku Nishioka, Kosami Mita, Takao Nojima, Ken Oshima, Sylvia Oshima, Tsuji Oshima, Yoshi Oshima, Bob Shigeru Ota, Shinobu Sako, Kamekichi Shimoto, Doris Sumie Shinoda, Kikuyo Chioji Guchi, Jack Sugimoto, Irving Takahashi, Bessie Shizuko Take, Joyce Miyako Takeuchi, Hisako Tanaka, Yoshiko Tanaka, Kengo Terashita, Kikue Tokunaga, Misao Tomimatsu, Yoshi Umino, Michigo Umeda, Masaru Uekubo, Tokyo Uesugi, Henry Wakabayashi, Nobuaki Wakabayashi, Chisato Watanabe, Hitoshi Watanabe, Kimio Chacha Watanabe, Isao Watanabe, Yoneko Watanabe, Hanako Yabumoto, Mitsuaki Akira Yabumoto, Ren Yamada, Miyoshi Yamanaka, Yukiko Yanagi, and Yae Yoshioka Yasui. We realize in the cherished memories of those we love and have lost, the impermanence of all the world is revealed. May the fragrance of the incense teach us the purity of our intentions. May the beauty of the flowers offered remind us of life's impermanence. May the lights that burn brightly on the altar lead our thoughts to Amida Buddha's light of wisdom and compassion. Please join me in Dashna. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo. So at this time, I wanted to invite all of you to chant along with me. And today we'll be chanting Sambutsuge. And there's a particular reason why I selected Sambutsuge today. However, I'll be talking about that in my Dharma message. But please follow along with me on page 82 for Sambutsuge. And I invite those of you who are observing our Shotsuki monthly memorial service to offer incense during the chanting. So please join me for the Gatha. Zuicho no Buddha. One and two, yes. Verses 1 and 2, page 222. And this will be followed by the three treasures. Please join me for three treasures on page 2. Three treasures. Hard is it to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One. Now we hear it. If we do not deliver ourselves in the present life, no hope is there that we shall be freed from suffering and sorrow in the ocean of birth and death. Let us fervently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in Buddha. May we all together absorb into ourselves the principle of your way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves your supreme will. I take refuge in Dharma. May we all together be submerged in the depth of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in Sangha. May we all together become units in true accord, in your life of harmony, in a spirit of universal brotherhood, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through ages of myriads of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of the Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you. At this time, I wanted to share a Dharma message, and I wanted to share my screen to go over just a small presentation. Hopefully it won't take too long, but I hope it really touches upon this meeting of our Ship's Memorial this month. Okay. So although I apologize, I covered the screen, will you please, or I covered the altar, but will you please join me in Goshen? Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Okay. So today, what I wanted to touch upon and bring all of these thoughts together was to actually talk about our grief. And so it's maybe like kind of like another message, kind of like a small mini lesson, I think, of the way in which we view grief and how we view grief from Ron's point of view as well. So this might be a little bit difficult since we're both Zooming and all of this stuff. So what I wanted to first introduce was the 10 touchstones of grief. And this was taught to me, introduced to me when I was taking my classes in clinical pastoral education. And these classes would allow me to be able to assist as a volunteer chaplain, encouraging me to maybe pursue my certificate as a chaplain as well. And so when, as a minister for me, it's always very sad when I hear about our members passing away. And if you had noticed, we had quite a few funerals within this last month, within this last year. And I'm sure as all of you are gathered here today, you can remember even your own grief when you lost your loved one, whose name I probably read off today in our Shotzi service. And when you're thinking about your loved one, you might be remembering the grief in which you felt and how those feelings of grief might have affected you. And I heard the bell, so I apologize to the children. I'll try to get through this as quickly as possible so they're not waiting for you as parents. But the 10 touchstones of grief are described by Dr. Wolfeld, and they serve as benchmarks that are essential for our physical, emotional, cognitive, social, and spiritual actions. And really the goal of grief is to be able to heal and find continued meaning in life. And I'll talk about this continued meaning a little bit later as I tie everything together with Sheenron's thought on bereavement. So, is it advancing it? Let's do this thing. Okay. So this first touchstone is open to the presence of your loss. And so Marianne Williamson, she said, in every heart there is an inner room where we can hold our greatest treasures and our deepest pain. And so I think many of us can truly think about, reflect upon the memories that we've had with our loved ones, but also the pain of losing them as well. So how do we really open ourselves to the presence of this loss? So Dr. Wolfelt suggested to set our intention to heal. Make grief our friend. And remember that there's no reward for speed. Doing well with our grief. And there's no need to feel shame or embarrassment about these feelings of grief. And to realize that grief is not a disease. And so I just wanted to kind of go over these just very, very quickly. So when we set our intention to heal, we have commitment to heal our grief so that we too can continue to live our lives the way in which our loved ones would want us to. Grief, it can't be fixed or resolved, so that's something to remember. But I think what Dr. Wolfald was saying is that it can be soothed over time through our experiences of this grief with our own thoughts and our own feelings. And possibly in the very beginning, it serves as a way for us to survive this initial shock of losing somebody. So when Dr. Wolfelt also says, make grief your friend, so it's really something that we can't deny it. We can't run from it. And maybe what we can do to lessen the hurt is to embrace it. And again, there's no reward for speed. Reconciling our grief, it doesn't happen quickly, as probably many of you know. It takes all of our energy, our physical, cognitive, social, spiritual energy to do the work in grief work. So what does doing well with our grief mean? So society implies many thoughts about grief, such as somebody's doing well, and maybe you can say, oh, you're being so strong, or maybe controlling their grief, maybe not having tears. But some of these things don't really indicate how we're really feeling inside. And so grief, remember, is not a disease. Again, there's no quick fix to our grief and the pain that we experience. Number 2, dispel the misconceptions about grief. So there's so many misconceptions about grief. So some of these include it's grief and mourning are the same thing. Our grief and mourning process is predictable and it happens in orderly stages. And you should move away from grief, not towards it. Tears of grief are only a sign of weakness. And being upset and openly mourning means that you're being weak in your faith. When someone you love dies, you only grieve and mourn for the physical loss of that person. So remember, these are all misconceptions. You should try not to think about the person who died on holidays, anniversaries, and birthdays. But however, if you're like me, you think about them even more during these times, as their presence is deeply missed. After someone you love dies, the goal should be to just get over your grief as soon as possible. Nobody can help you with your grief. And when your grief and mourning are finally reconciled, they'll never come up again. So I'm sure that many of you realize that these are misconceptions, but sometimes possibly society might make us believe that we should be doing these things. So touchstone 3, embrace the uniqueness of your grief. And so these are the whys of why our unique grief, our journey is very unique in grief. Because your relationship with the person who died is very unique and special. The circumstances of the death might be very unique or different than somebody else that you know who has passed away. The ritual or funeral experience might be very unique or different. And as I've been honoring many of our past members, there is something to be said, I think, about gathering for funeral services and memorial services. And for some of you, it has been quite important for you to be able to be here at this very temple, inside the walls of the temple, to honor and remember your loved one at a place that meant so much to them. So obviously, your grief journey is unique because the people in your life and your unique personality, and the personality that's very unique of the person who has passed. Your gender or gender identity, even cultural background, religious or spiritual background, other crisis or stress in your life when you experience a loss, and your experiences with loss in the past, even your physical health. All of these things play a role in why everybody's grief journey is so different. And so Dr. Wolfelt encourages us to explore your feelings of loss as well. So some of these, which you might have experienced as well, include shock, numbness, denial, and disbelief. Disorganization, confusion, searching or yearning for that person. Perhaps anxiety, panic, or fear have been experienced. Explosive emotions, guilt and regret, sadness and depression, perhaps relief and release. And all of those different feelings are all natural and all normal in your grief. I apologize, I'm not going over this too much in depth just for the sake of time, but I hope I'm not doing it a disservice or Dr. Wolfelt's teachings a disservice. However, he even recognized number 5, recognize that you are not going crazy. And you might be experiencing some of these, especially if your grief is very new. You might have time distortion, distortion in your self-focus, rethinking and retelling the story of maybe when your loved one passed away, sudden mood changes, powerlessness and helplessness, grief attacks or grief bursts, crying or sobbing, linking objects to that person that you have lost, identification of symptoms of physical illness, perhaps suicidal thoughts, maybe drugs or alcohol and grief. Your dreams might be different. Mystical experiences he mentions, and anniversary and holiday grief occasions. So these are all certain things that we might feel when we've lost a loved one. And he goes on to say, understanding the 6 needs of mourning. And so this is where I'd like to also tie in even Shinran's thoughts about why bereavement is necessary. So it allows us to be able to accept the reality of the death of our loved one. And many of the times when we do gather for funerals and memorial services, it is an opportunity for us to fully realize the impermanence in our lives, the loss of our loved one, but also to be able to honor and remember them, be in the comfort and love of our family and our friends, but also to encounter the Buddha Dharma in a very special and meaningful way because of the life and passing of our loved one. This allows us to let ourselves feel the pain of the loss, to remember the person who has died. This time of mourning also allows us to develop a new self-identity. And it allows us to search for meaning in our lives. And this time also allows others to help us now and always in our lives. And I think that's really the beauty of our Sangha, is to be able to reach out and support one another. And I've heard many times after a funeral how grateful families are, because we do have wonderful volunteers who support behind the scenes and during the funeral planning process to be able to get through this very difficult time. So number 7 is to really nurture ourselves. And Dr. Wolfelt said, perhaps the most important special need right now is to be compassionate with yourself. In fact, the word compassion means with passion. Caring for and about yourself with passion is self-compassion. And I think many of us might have this difficulty of giving ourselves this self-compassion, but especially during a loss, that's when we probably need it most. And so Dr. Wolfelt talks about these 10 self-compassionate principles. And these are things to remember about our own grief experience. And if you have experienced grief, and obviously I believe many of us, all of us have, some of these things will always ring true, despite the loss being maybe perhaps a few days ago, or maybe 13, 14, 20 years ago. So these principles include that we have the right to experience our own unique grief. We have the right to talk about our grief. We have the right to feel a multitude of different emotions. And you have the right to be tolerant of your physical and emotional limits. You have the right to experience grief bursts. You have the right to make use of ritual. You have the right to embrace your spirituality. You have the right to search for meaning in your life. And you have the right to treasure your memories and also move toward your grief and heal. Okay. And so Dr. Wolfelt talks about all of these different realms. So those are things, of course, that we should do, but they pertain to all of those different realms of our life, different aspects of our lives. Our physical, emotional, cognitive, social, and spiritual being. So touchstone 8, reach out for help. And I think that's the beauty, again, of Sangha, is that we're here for each other to be able to provide this help and support as well. So, of course, we have friends, family, clergy, a professional counselor, support groups. So, and all of these helpers will allow us to embrace hope, encounter the presence of our losses, and feel companioned in our journey. Number 9, seek reconciliation, not resolution. The word reconcile comes from the Middle English for to make good again. This is the essence of reconciliation and grief. Actually, it is to make your life good again, from Dr. Wolfelt. Okay, so coming up on the last touchstone, appreciate your transformation. So this transformation of our grief means growth means change. Growth means a new inner balance with no end point. Growth means exploring your assumptions about life. Growth means utilizing your potential. And just some final thoughts before I conclude this portion. There were some quotes that I appreciated in his book. Your responsibility to live. Each day comes bearing its own gifts. Untie the ribbons by Ruth Ann Schabacker. Nourishing your transformed soul. Nourishing your grieving soul is a matter of surrendering to the mystery of grief by Dr. Ellen Wolfelt. Carrying your transformation forward. As you continue to experience how grief has transformed you, be open to the new directions your life is now taking. So again, I think this is a very holistic, a very gentle approach to being able to taking care of our grief. And again, I apologize that I went over it rather quickly. But what I wanted to, can you look this up? What I'll do to conclude my message, we'll go ahead and stop sharing here. Okay, I didn't use them.
So what do we do with all of this information regarding grief? And how do we look at it from Shinran Shonin, from our Venerable Shinran, the founder of Dzogchen Buddhism? And so I've shared this before, but I just felt that when I was going through my own grief, that this research from a professor from Ryukoku University in Kyoto, it really spoke to me during my grief journey. And again, all of our journeys are different. However, what Professor Naoki Nabeshima was presenting was that even Shinran Shonin had this approach to our grief. And in Nabeshima Sensei's writings, he did acknowledge that we do have this pain of losing a loved one through death. And that love that we have, it always stands this danger of separation. And probably the most difficult types of separation in our lives. Of course, we might leave a job to go on to another job. We might move, we might have disagreements with our friends, and there might be ties that are cut because of that. But because of this impermanence of death, Nabeshima Sensei knew that he needed to talk about this danger of separation with our loved ones, and that the suffering that we feel really reminds us of the impermanence of such love that we do have, and possibly the loneliness of our own existence in a very painful way. But he includes that this suffering in our lives and impermanence can cause us to have great growth, as Dr. Wolfelt was mentioning in his book as well. So Dr. Nabeshima, he offers these three interpretations of Shinran Shonin's words. And he said that first, when grieving people are sad, that we should let them feel this sorrow and experience these tears when they are missing their loved one. He said when people want to cry, they should be able to cry. Nabeshima infers that Shinran acknowledges that we are human beings who experience grief. And even during our times of bereavement, we're always embraced by Amida Buddha's compassionate vow, compassionate salvation, to free us from this suffering. And he said that the mourning and the loss that we experience from losing our loved ones can awaken to the most profound feeling of love for another person. And so number two, Nabeshima Sensei talks about this kind of polar opposite of his first interpretation. So he speculated that Shinran said that we shouldn't make grieving people more sad when they're grieving. So although Nabeshima Sensei says that excessive comforting of the bereaved may increase their sadness, he does acknowledge the quiet peacefulness and connection that can be established between two people when we are there to support our friends and our family when they have lost a loved one. So he said in this third approach that this connection with our loved ones is never severed, even after death. And personally, this idea really resonated with me after my mom passed away, because we can transcend sorrow when the foundation of our mind and our heart is established and connected even beyond death. And he notes that this is possible because of the Pure Land and Amida Buddha's vow for salvation for us all, so that we can meet even after death with our loved ones. And it is because of the other power of Amida Buddha, who has vowed to embrace all of us, our sadness and our grief and our sorrow, and never forsakes us, always embracing us throughout our lives, throughout our difficulties, throughout our losses. And so, again, to understand this idea of other power or Amida Buddha's vow, we really should think about what this means for each and every one of us. So again, the Bodhisattva Dhammakara, before attaining Buddhahood or enlightenment, established 48 vows.
and declare to the teacher, this is what I want to do. I want to become a Buddha. I want to establish the Pure Land. And that's why I selected something to give today that includes these vows of wanting to attain enlightenment to save all beings. And so if we can recall the 18th vow of Bodhisattva Dhammakara, it states, if when I attain Buddhahood, the sentient beings of the 10 quarters, with sincere mind, entrusting themselves, aspiring to be born in my land, and saying my name, perhaps even 10 times, should not be born there, may I not attain the supreme enlightenment. And so this primal vow is the most important vow in our Droshin Shu school of Buddhism. And so in regards to Professor Nabashima's third approach to Shinran's death, or Shinran's approach to death and bereavement, again, individuals who are dealing with loss can grieve and they can cry and they can continue to grow even after a loss, because our lives are securely protected by the great compassion of Amida Buddha. And because our loved ones have passed and gone before us, they still lovingly guide us to the Pure Land as well. So consequently, this turns even our grief-stricken hearts and minds into very compassionate hearts and minds. And this turn of heart can be really transformative, as Dr. Wolfelt was also saying as well, because of the nature of grief, because it's so unique to each and every one of us. And that our grief journey will be very, very different. But it does have this very, very transformative power in all of our lives, just like I believe Amida Buddha's wisdom and compassion that's always embracing us as well. So I appreciate, of course, your attention today, as I know that this was a little bit long. But if you are interested in learning a little bit more about Dr. Wolfelt's writings, or even Professor Nabashima's writings or his interpretation, please let me know. I'd be happy to get those to you. And it was rather funny, which I didn't include here, but wanted to say even Professor Nabashima was even talking about when you comfort somebody, you could offer them a little bit of sake. So not too much, just enough to comfort them, and then you go home. And so this allows you to provide them a little comfort. And so I found that a little bit funny and humorous, but there was definitely a meaning from his perspective as well. But thank you again for allowing me to share not only my personal thoughts and truly my personal interest regarding grief and loss, but also the work of Professor Nabashima during today's Dharma message. So to conclude, will you please join me in Gassho? Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo. Okay, so today what we'll do, since it's a little bit long, we'll go ahead and skip the gatha, and then I can do closing presentation. Please join me in Gassho. Buddha's compassion embraces all people, and his never-lessening desire is for their happiness. He loves people as parents love their children, and he wishes for them the highest blessedness, namely that they might be able to pass beyond this ocean of birth and death. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo. So, are there any additional announcements? I know we went over quite a few.
If they want, I'll leave it out. They can look at all the dates, or they can take it with them.
Okay, so we do have a series of announcements which we did share during the previous service, but they're up here if you have any concerns about maybe your affiliated organization that you might be meeting. Thank you so much for your attendance today. And if you haven't had a chance to offer incense, please do so before you leave. And thank you so much for your attendance and continue to be safe and well. Thank you.
No, you did. You're fine. No, you're good. So, to those of you online, we're going to end the YouTube feed and also you can, if you are in SBWA, please stay on this link. If you're not an SBWA member, then thank you for